Hi everyone, this is Mindy and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be not only ink blending with my Distress Oxides, but I'm going to be stamping with them as well. A couple of the things that I will be working with is the Sending Love word die and the Leaf Edges background stamp from Simon Says Stamp. So before I do any stamping or die cutting, I'm going to first ink blend a panel. Now I have some Hammermill cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And what I want to do is I'm kind of going off of the Leaf Edges stamp set. The leaves are going to come off of one edge. So I picked a side, which here I'm starting on the right-hand side of my cardstock. I started with Faded Jeans Distress Oxide ink, and I'm blending it from that right side corner and kind of having it fade off into white going towards that other corner. Now, as I get down to that area I want to be white, I'm going to just be very gentle and not push too hard with my foam blending tool. Now, the second color I'm coming in with is chipped sapphire. And I did a little bit of ink blending there as well to kind of deepen those edges. To do my stamping, I removed the foam insert from my Misti tool and I just adhered my cardstock down with a repositionable tape just to make sure it stays in place. Now this is that Leaf Edges stamp set. You're really getting 2 for 1 out of this. There's 2 different designs. I really like these kind of etched leaves. So I positioned that over my cardstock and picked it up with the door of the Misti, and now I'm inking up the entire image in that same Faded Jeans Distress Oxide color. So I'm going to stamp that down, and this leaves a really good impression, and I really like how it kind of fades into that ink blending just a little bit, and then kind of comes more to the front of the cardstock, or is more noticeable as it gets down towards the white. Now here I brought in that chipped sapphire. I inked up that stamp once again, but only about part way down. And then I'm going to come in with black soot just at the very top. So it's going to transition from a really dark color down into that Faded Jeans, which kind of fades in to the color of my ink blending. Now I'm just going to go through and clean off my stamp with my new Gina K Tidy Towel. That one is a lot thicker. They revamped it and it's fantastic. I'm going to trim my panel down using one of the rectangles from the A2 Layers die from Waffle Flower. And once I trimmed that out, I'm bringing in my Gonzai Tombi Starry watercolors. I'm going to use the gold and the white. So I added a couple drops of water to each, mix that up with my paintbrush, and now I'm going to splatter my background, first starting with that white. I'm going to let that dry for a couple seconds because I don't want the gold to kind of mix into it. I want them to be 2 separate splatters. So I just wiped off that white with my paper towel. Then I'm coming in and picking up that gold and adding those splatters around the cardstock there. So I can set this off on the side to dry while I work on my die cutting. Here I have the Sending Love word die, and this is a beautiful scripty font. It has the word die and a shadow layer. I'm going to start off by die cutting it from some matte gold cardstock, and then I also cut it 2 more times from some white cardstock. And I'm going to layer all of those together to build up the dimension so I can attach this to the front of my card. Now here I love using my liquid glue in that fine tip bottle. It works really well for these fine, delicate letters. And then I use the tweezers to kind of pinch that together and make sure it all lines up. Then I just will set something heavy on it and let that sit for a minute. To assemble my card, I'm going to layer my panel just with some pieces of cardstock that are the same size, which I think is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And I just used my tape runner to adhere those together. And then I can attach that to a card panel that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's going to leave that really nice white margin around it. Then I added more dots of liquid glue to the back of my sentiment, and I'm adding that down towards the bottom there in the corner. Now, at this point, I think I threw away most of my tittles except for the gold one. I thought I saved a white one, but it ended up just being a scrap piece of cardstock. So I just added a dot of that liquid glue, and I'm using my pick and stick tool to pick up that little gold tittle and add that to dot my eye. And then that is going to finish off my card today. So a really simple technique of just using your oxides for ink blending and then also using them to stamp over the top of that. And I love how those colors kind of fade into each other. All of the supplies used will be listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, and feel free to leave me a comment. I read through every comment on my YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining me, and see you again soon.